Hey everybody, super excited for this chat today with self-described API girl and co-founder of Merge API. Shensi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really well. Happy New Year, if it's not too late still to say that. We have a big snowstorm coming up through New York and Boston. That should be fun. But in the meantime, super excited for this chat around all things, developer integrations and beyond. Before that, maybe introduce yourself and a little bit about Merge.
Yeah, so I'm Shansi, co-founder CEO at Merge. We started the company around 4 years ago, and essentially what Merge offers are APIs that allow developers to integrate once to offer a full category of integrations to their customers and add it to their product. So we're not meant for internal use cases. We're not meant for automation. We're purely meant for the situation where you need to add a lot of integrations to your product. We currently cover HRIS, ATS, accounting, CRM, ticketing, marketing automation, and file storage with more categories to come.
Well, it's a fascinating space, and you're a bit of a leader in this space. Maybe give us the genesis of Merge. What was the big idea in the beginning?
So Gil is my co-founder, and we've been best friends since college. We both studied computer science, all the same classes, group projects, social group, and both ended up at startups in San Francisco many years later that ran into the same problem of needing a lot of integrations with a certain category. I was at a cybersecurity company that needed ticketing integrations. Gil was head of engineering at a recruiting tech company that needed ATS integration, so applicant tracking systems. And both of us were seeing this problem from different angles and also in very different industries. What we found was that if you didn't build these integrations, you were really going to struggle on the pre-sale side. But building these integrations meant having to allocate a lot of engineering resources, and you would have to maintain these integrations permanently. In addition to that, integrations cause a lot of issues on the customer success side, and no one's really thinking about this from a product perspective. Everyone is very much focusing on automation at the time. And so we did a lot of research, talked to over 100 companies, and integrations really impact every single department in a company. Decided to quit our jobs, got started. I got back into coding, and fast forward now, we're around 100 people in San Francisco, New York City, and soon Berlin.
Wow. Well, that is quite a tour de force of the last few years. And talk about some of the research. You've done a lot of surveys, including recently, where, customer facing integrations are one of the top 5, 10 issues out there in B2B SaaS these days. So what are the integrations requirements you tend to be seeing? Maybe what industries?
So this was our first state of product integration survey that we've ever done, and we surveyed around 260 product managers and engineers. And one of the surprising insights that we found were that 100% of 100% of the respondents said that integrations were going to be really important, and that was a lot more than I expected, even though integrations are what I sell. But that was really really interesting, and I think one of the trends is that, especially this upcoming year, a lot of people are focusing on consolidation and try to make sure that their product is really essential and really getting used a lot by as many team members as possible. And integrations are a core part of that. You really want to reduce the barriers for entry and making sure that people are onboarding onto your product, that they're finding it really seamless. They don't have to do that much work in order to get started. And integrations are a really easy way to jumpstart that.
Yeah, jumpstart indeed. You mentioned banking and finance, lots of work to be done there. Are there certain industries that you're seeing a lot of traction in and acceptance of this new approach to product development?
Yeah, especially because there's so much focus on revenue and retention. A lot of the
Mm,
popular integration categories that people are focusing on are CRM for RevOps use cases or sales ops use cases, and then also, and obviously post sales as well, but then also help desk and ticketing, just so you can see what kind of
mm.
issues your customers are running into, what kind of questions they're asking you. And then the third category that we were a little bit surprised by, but because I think dev tools security is becoming very prominent as well. HRIS integrations too. So being able to see
Mm.
what a directory looks like, joiners and leavers, org chart management, that continues to be pretty important.
Oh, fantastic. You're a developer. Obviously, your team, I'm guessing, is vast majority are developers. What are some of the developer, focused first challenges that you're seeing in maintenance and also integration headaches you're trying to solve exactly at the developer level?
Yeah, so there's a couple different parts. There's three different parts of integrations that I try to separate them into. So there's the building component, which is a huge pain alone, and it can often take a company several weeks, if not months, to build a single integration. But the part that people don't really think about is the maintenance of the integration and the management. So maintenance of the integration is where you have to modify your code base to account for edge cases that come back when response
Mm,
bodies vary or data comes back in a way that you don't really expect. That's super, super common, especially because API documentation is hard coded. And
mm.
it's not always updated. So sometimes you onboard a customer and their response bodies vary wildly from anything that you've seen previously. And it forces your engineers to have to really move quickly in order to modify the integration code so that you can have it up and running. So that ends up becoming a really large component of what engineers have to do after the integration's live. But there's also integrations management, and this is anything that's related to end user management and customer success. So what will happen
Mm.
with integrations are that an end user's authentication credentials expire, or maybe their permissions weren't set correctly, or maybe someone left the company and the credentials no longer work, or they gave you access but they forgot like one little thing, and so the critical detail that they need for the integration to work isn't coming through. And that usually ends up going to customer success. Customer success doesn't have the tooling in order to see what's going on. They have to go talk to engineers. They have to go through the code base, make sure it's not a bug, and make sure that it's a permission error. It can cause a lot of downstream issues. And so maintenance and management end up becoming what really suck out a lot of time for a company.
Yeah, that's a fantastic overview. And the fast-moving space. We're in 2024. Can't believe it. What are some of the trends you're seeing this year? What do you have your roadmap and developers focused on?
So there's still going to be a lot of focus on new fragmentation in the market. So adding more integrations, really making sure we're getting very deep in the existing categories that we're in. There's a lot of dry powder out there, especially in VC landscape. So I see a lot more continued fragmentation in certain categories, and especially the companies that are getting formed right now. You have to integrate to compete. Like there's just no way that you can really start selling or even get started if you don't have core integrations with other vendors that your customers are using.
Fantastic. Talk about this category or space you're in. It's a little tough to define. How do you know that you are the leader? I think in that upper right-hand quadrant, I understand.
Yeah.
Talk about the competitive landscape and your position therein.
So what I call merge is a unified API, and I view this to be the third generation of iPaaS solutions.
Mm,
So the first generation, sorry, I'm going to spiel about this, but the first generation of iPaaS solutions are kind of like MuleSoft, SnapLogic, Boomi. I'm really connecting on-prem to cloud providers, and that was really, really, really complicated. And that was from like the 2000s to 2010, and then from 2010 to 2020, we started seeing emergence of cloud-to-cloud iPaaS providers. So this includes like Tray, Workato, Zapier, really popular, really great solutions out there in order to help with automation, especially because a lot of companies just didn't have integrations out of the box. And if you wanted to like connect two systems that you already purchased, you probably wouldn't want to deploy an engineer for that. You'd want something that was a
mm,
little bit easier. But these companies didn't really solve the problem of adding integrations to your product. And especially with the proliferation of VC money in like the end of the 2010s, there was so much fragmentation, and the onus of offering or adding integrations was moving from the buyer to the vendor, and vendors just had to have more integrations in order to compete. And this is becoming like more and more so. What is the expectation of a vendor when you're purchasing them? And it can oftentimes become a blocker for any sales. And none of the existing solutions out there solve this problem. What you could try to do is angle like workflow products to become embedded workflow products, but the onus of building and maintaining was still on the on the engineer. They would have to
mm.
build and maintain all of them, and it wasn't really making it that much easier. And so unified APIs allow you to integrate once and you're done. So it's O of one instead of O of N, and you're really, really able to offload the maintenance of the integrations to the vendor that you end up choosing. So the reason why we know we're the leader is because we were the first company that was cross-category. We offered hundreds of integrations across 7 different categories, and the goal was always to be cross category. We were never going to be focused on just one category alone. And so because of that, we really had to focus on the infrastructure and the tooling in order to move really quickly and to be able to maintain these integrations across a large volume of different data sets really rapidly for our customers. We also provide the best customer support. Both Gil and I really, really feel a strong responsibility to our customers to be very responsive and to really make sure that they have
Mm.
full visibility to everything that's happening. Because it is scary to offload a big part of your product to a third-party vendor. And it's also really scary to not know everything that's happening. And so that's why we really wanted to make sure that we were code first, that the engineers felt in control, that they were building into an API where they could see every single API request. They had full control and they could really see the data that was coming through and what they were getting back as well.
Fantastic. Tell us a bit about your entrepreneurial journey, if you would, Shensi. when did you decide to strike out on your own? How was that to start? Ups and downs, of course, of the entrepreneurship world. Give us a little peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, so we started the company around 4 years ago, and it was really, or yeah, it was really, I guess it's now 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. It was really scary. We quit our jobs May of 2020, so it was right after COVID. And fundraising at the time was, and I guess still now even, is all over video. It was all over video. And at the time when we started fundraising, it was still pretty new to do meetings on video. People weren't quite used to it. It was like the first few months of that. So it was really scary. Gil and I both had jobs. Gil, my co-founder, and I both had jobs that we really enjoyed and really loved. But I really felt that if we didn't do this now, someone else was going to, and we had a really strong vision for the problem that we wanted to solve first. The solution might not always be the right one, but we really felt passionately about this problem, and we knew it was going to keep getting worse. And I still really love working on this problem too.
Oh, fantastic. Any lessons learned to aspiring or existing entrepreneurs out there on some of the challenges you had to face and overcome so far?
I mean, I just think it's really hard. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, like starting a company can't be that tough. Like, I can do this. And I think like, especially 4 years in, like you really have to put in the work. Like there's a lot of sacrifices. You can't do a lot of things that a lot of your friends are able to do because you have a responsibility to your team to really make sure that you're putting in as much as you're expecting from them. And so you have to put in your all. And also it means that you have to do certain things that like no one else wants to do. You have to have really tough conversations. And you also have to you have to do really cringy shit all the time. Like that's embarrassing, right? But like you have to like post on LinkedIn all the time. You like do all these like
Hey, you're
podcasts.
describing my life here. I didn't realize I was so cringy. No, I'm teasing. I kid.
Yeah, but you have to put yourself out there because what's more embarrassing, like your company dying or you just doing this, and you have to make that decision.
Oh, great advice. Um, so what are the big plans for 2024? It's a tough space. There's so many events, so much noise out there in enterprise tech. How are you going to go out and get noticed, get more customers, get more mind share, market share, all that good stuff?
So we're still very much crossing the chasm. We just signed on our first top 10 bank, which is really exciting.
Mm,
But we still have to really get out there. So doing a lot more in-person events, going to conferences, meeting with people live. And then also, of course, like investing in marketing that really shows what the difference is between unified APIs and existing iPaaS solutions out there.
fantastic. Getting the first customer is always the biggest challenge. What was that like, getting the first few customers, partnering with the first few developers? How did you get them on board?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it was a lot. We were basically begging anyone to really take a bet, like take a chance on us because we're core infrastructure, and it's really scary
Mm.
to want to bet on someone when your customers are impacted by this random group of like people, right? They didn't know us, and they didn't know if we were going to be super responsive, if we were going to do everything we could to make them and their customers happy. So the first few customers, we really had to build that trust. We had to talk to them. We had to tell them how we like why we cared about this. And it ends up becoming the same pitch that you pitch to VCs and the first few hires. You also have to make to those customers like, this is why you need to take a bet on us. And they did, and we needed and then you have like this trial period where you want to show them that you have the best customer support, you have the best product, and of course like everything's breaking in the first few
Mhm.
customers, and so you're just like available 24/7. You're really trying to make them happy. We're doing customer support all the time, and you're also still coding, and you're also still recruiting at the same time. There's just like a lot of things that you're balancing, but those first few customers really made us better. And the first customer we ever onboarded was a company called Drata, and they became a unicorn in 1 year. I think they went from like zero to
Wow.
like 8 figures of revenue in just 1 year. And they really inspired us because the CTO there was ruthless about product quality and speed. He was like, you guys need to move really quickly, and I expect this quality. And we wanted to match his level and his expectations, and it really set the right pace for the company up front.
Wonderful, wonderful story. Give us a little peek behind the curtain in your organization. You mentioned you're in New York City. Are you still guys doing hybrid work? Are you all remote? And maybe what sort of infrastructure have you built internally to deliver, services to clients?
So we're actually 100% in person. So people come into the office 5 days
Wow,
a week.
fantastic.
Yeah, I know it's very edgy and very unusual. But we got started in San Francisco, and we were just a really close, tight knit team, and we were moving really, really, really quickly. And I think it allowed us to move so quickly since we just had a lot of trust. We really got to know each other. We were just making jokes like all day, all night. It was just like really fun. And so we just kept it going and kept it going. And then we expanded to New York because we were selling a lot to Europe and the Middle East, just to make it a little bit easier for time zones. And we hired people into New York. And now New York's a little bit bigger. We have 70 people in New York, 30 people in San Francisco, and then now a few people in Berlin as well. But yeah, I don't know. We've been really intentional about culture.
Mm.
Gil and I still interview every single team member that joins the company, and it's really important to us that like everyone's really like kind, hardworking, nice person, and also very enthusiastic because integrations can be really tough and they can really bring you down. But if you're really enthusiastic about it, you come into the office every day with a lot of energy, and they can really help everyone out.
Oh, great mission, great team you've built there. Um, I guess my last question here is, how do customers engage with you? How do they get started on this journey? It's a kind of a new approach. I assume it has something to do with your website. You can go there and maybe sign up for something.
Yeah, so you can go to merge.dev very easily. You can also just Google merge. Hopefully, we're in the first few options that are available on Google, and you can just sign up. But we do really recommend that you try to get a sales demo or you speak with one of our team members because the space is really new and there still aren't a ton of people who have built integrations before. And so, as much as we can, really try to walk you through the process, answer any questions that you have, be an unblocker, especially as you're testing. Let us do that for you. So sign up if you want to, but also really encourage you to chat with someone. It's going to be helpful.
What's the typical time to market with the platform? How long? I guess speed of development, of course, is a key selling point. How quick has that gone with customers, and what's a typical engagement cycle like?
Yeah, so it really depends on your intent and motivation. So I've definitely seen usually it's around 2 to 4 weeks. So just one or
Oh,
two
wow.
sprints, but I've seen it in 2 days. So it just depends on your motivation.
2 days and a lot of coffee. Well, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for just sharing your vision and mission here, and we're all rooting for you. And I know you're from Boston. Definitely look me up if you're in the
Yeah,
neighborhood. And yeah, everyone reach out, follow Merge on Twitter, X. It's Merge underscore
API.
API and Merge Dev online. Thanks, Ensei. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate your time and interest. Take care.